Donnie Wahlberg's on the phone, who still, and this is going back, but haunts me.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say.
The Sixth Sense moment, and ever since then, he's haunted me.
And Ransom. Remember he was in Ransom?
Oh, yeah. Haunted me. Hi, Donnie Wahlberg.
I'm sorry that I'm haunting you.
In a good way, though. In a very artistic, creative, motivational way.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for joining us. You know, I've been seeing the promos for Blue Bloods. You know, it's the multi-generational cop family in New York.
Tom Selleck.
You, Tom Selleck, and a host of others. You have to be honest with us, because we've had Tom on a bunch of times. The whole nice thing that he's doing, that's fake, right? Like, when you get him alone, he like doesn't like puppies and old people and stuff, right?
Well, I'll tell you, first things first, he's a guy's guy. He's a real guy, and he's a smart guy and solid guy. But I want, you know, the way I sort of really get a take on people is how they act with fans, because I'm real big about, you know, giving time and energy to my fans. And, you know, I've seen Tom, you know, when he had no idea that I was watching, you know, from across the street, from my trailer, whatever. And not only does he stop for regular people on the street, he stops for, like, New Kids on the Block fans that are, like, hanging out of the trailer waiting to see me. You know, he'll go over and say hi, and they're like, oh, my God, Tom, take a picture so I can show my mom. And he's like, of course. I mean, that's the way that I sort of, you know, I try not to judge anyone, really, but the way I do judge is by how they treat, you know, the regular people on the street. And, you know, I've seen few better. You know, he's like a guy running for president, but, you know, he's not up for office. He's just doing it because he wants to do it.
Now, Donnie, seriously, New Kids on the Block fans showing up on set.
They usually camp out. There's usually like 20 hardcore regulars, and then the fringe ones come, and they know where I'm shooting before I know. I don't know how they do it. It was like the cartoon when we had that New Kids on the Block cartoon, which I wasn't really a big fan of. But, you know, in the cartoon there was this underground network of fans that would, like, you know, use all the computers and stuff to figure out where we would be. And when I tell you, like, we're in Brooklyn one day, we're in Manhattan the next day, one day we're here. The fans are there before I get there every day.
Wow.
I don't know how they know. And I said, how do you know where we're shooting? It's like not like there's billboards all over town. And they said, oh, we know. We have our ways.
Yeah, there's leaks are there. And, you know, even if there's times you got to just shake your head in disbelief, it's got to still be gratifying, too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, look, I tell people all the time, you know, if I'll meet people on the street or, you know, we did a screening of the show last night in New York, and, you know, about 100 fans came. It was 200 seats in the theater, 100 with New Kids fans. But, you know, they always apologize and say, sorry, you know, we don't want to bother you. And I said, look, you know, if the day you're throwing rocks at me or people, you know, taking my picture for doing the wrong thing is you know, that's the day you can say sorry.
I love that attitude.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, I do remember it was one of the biggest thrills of my life going backstage in a New Kids show.
Yeah.
You guys were all so awesome. Really nice.
Thanks. I mean, it's yeah, and you know, putting the group back together 2 years ago was, I didn't know what it would be like. You know, I really wanted to do music again for a little while, and it was more fulfilling than I could have ever imagined. I mean, we had a great time, and we brought, you know, I think we brought a little dose of happiness to a lot of people who haven't, you know, had a lot to be happy. I mean, we came back at the worst economy since the Depression, and people, you know, wives, husbands were over in Iraq fighting, and Afghanistan, and, you know, their wives were coming to the shows, and, you know, I mean, it just turned out to be great timing for a lot of people who haven't had a lot of chance to have fun since they were kids, and I was glad to be a part of that.
That's cool. And, you know, you mentioned the screening of Blue Bloods, and you played Danny in Blue Bloods. And how did you get involved with this, and are you enjoying your time so far?
Yeah, well, I'm having a great time, first of all. I mean, shooting in New York is amazing, but working with the cast I'm working with and the writers, you know, are two of the head writers for the Sopranos, and it's really it's an amazing group to work with, but, you know, it came about really, I don't even know how. I think I was flying to Canada to work on some music stuff, and with Jordan Knight or something. I landed and I had an email saying, hey, there's a script, why don't you read it? It's really good, and they want you to play this part. And I read it. I said, yeah, I'd love it. And I said, well, where do I meet with the people? And they said, well, they're in Toronto trying to find this guy. They can't find him, and they're hoping you're the guy for it. And I said, well, I just landed in Toronto, and 5 minutes later I was in a meeting with the creators of the show, and they were like, you're our guy, and we heard you on tour, you wouldn't be able to do it, so we looked for other people, but you've been our guy since day one. And I said, well, if I get to play Tom Selleck's son, I'm in. And they said, well, he's your dad, so let's get to work.
That's flattering. Not to mention Bridget Moynihan on the show.
Yeah, Bridget's pretty awesome. She's a great girl. We're really good friends, and she's the real deal. They call her like Mrs. Tom Brady's ex or whatever up in Boston, but
oh, do they?
And that's where I'm from. But she's definitely nobody's ex. She's a really talented actress, and we're very lucky to have her on the show.
And the whole show is a family of cops, New York cops. I got to believe with the multi-generational thing. There's headbutting that goes on, and there's
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the first episode, which everyone can watch tomorrow night, you'll be very surprised at some of the stuff that takes place. I mean, my character plays the son of the police commissioner. Tom plays the police commissioner in the show, and my character, you would think he's the furthest thing from related to the police commissioner with some of the choices he makes on the job. And but my character does what he thinks is the way to get the job done, and it's really fun. I think I really feel like I'm getting to play one of the most fun characters that I've had a chance to play.
Great.
In my career.
Can't wait for tomorrow night.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I'm looking forward to seeing it. You know what? It's terrific spending a couple moments with you. I hope we can do it again soon.
I look forward to it, guys.
Thanks Donnie.
Thanks a lot, Donnie. Donnie Wahlberg.
Cool.
Bloods tomorrow night.
What a nice guy.
Yeah.